generations. And now, the power of two restores the one.
We got a bidet! Hey everybody, and welcome back for another video. In today's video we are doing our monthly Shoot the Sheev. This is where we come together at the end of the month and talk about the Star Wars news that happened throughout the month. So we got the news that happened throughout the month of July. There's a handful of things to talk about. Uh, some exciting, some kind of middle of the road. Um, but we're gonna go ahead talk to you about some of the major headlines for the month. Of course, give you our thoughts along the way. So, we're gonna kick it off with movies and shows today. So, all of this news comes from San Diego Comic-Con that did happen just as of late. There's a handful of news stories that we have that came out of that, but probably one of the bigger ones is because you always wonder, well, what are they going to show at San Diego Comic-Con for Star Wars when they already technically have their own like Star Wars convention, right? Star Wars Celebration. And there actually was a little bit that they showed. They showed the first image from Ahsoka season 2, which was an image of Ezra. I know the actor himself also put out on social media a video of him like practicing his lightsaber skills. We also got a shot, like a still of Darth Maul for his new show coming out next year, which is called Shadow Lord. Both of these are expected to come out next year. And also, the heavy rumor that is circulating is whether or not Sam Witwer is going to be attached to Ahsoka. And the reason why that's important is because, we've seen this mural in Rebels where we talk about, basically the father of the Force, and he has a daughter and a son, and the daughter represents the light, and the son represents the darkness, the dark side. And even when the animated show came out, Sam Witwer was the voice of the son. And so the son not only looks like Sam Witwer, but Sam Witwer also looks like Starkiller. So there's this idea of is Disney actually going to go there? Are we going to bring Starkiller into the mix? What do we think?
I think it'd be super cool. We need something kind of new and different, I think, with this show of I feel like we had such a strong trajectory of like, all right, we've got to go back and rescue this crew and we went on that journey and it almost seems like it's the end of the road. Like there's got to be something to keep us going for another season, something new and fresh and exciting. And I don't know that it can just be the same old of Thrawn and what is he gonna do, Like I feel like this could be a different direction for us to go that gives us something to really sink our teeth into.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for learning more about what's going to go on with Thrawn. I think his character is going to bring the big set pieces with the battles and whatnot. But, at the end of season 1 of Ahsoka, we had Anakin show up, and we know that Hayden Christensen is going to be a part of season 2. It would be very interesting if, Ahsoka is connecting with him and he's like, you know kind of this secret that I had is while I was, Darth Vader, I had a secret apprentice, that being Starkiller, and kind of like talking about what was going on with all that. I do hope that if they do go down this road, I do hope that they have a show for The Force Unleashed because that is where Starkiller came from. It does make me wonder if they will nerf his character a little bit because he is very much an OP character, But I would love to see him back, especially since there's been so much merch come out of Star Killer as of late, for like the Black Series figures and whatnot.
I think it'd be cool.
Same. And time will tell. We'll have to find out next year. Or, I don't know when the next Star Wars celebration, if it's next year or the year after, but hopefully we see more about Ahsoka maybe around, May 4th of next year. In the board game news, we had the newest Villainous expansion release, which is Cold Tactics. On the front of that box is Thrawn himself. What's kind of interesting about the expansion is that when the pre-orders went out, the release date was in like mid-August, and I randomly got a text message saying that, or not text message, email from Target saying your pre-order's release date changed. And I was thinking like, what pre-order? And then I went and looked and I was like, oh my God, that's coming tomorrow. Like it changed the date and they shipped it immediately. And honestly, we have not played with the new characters yet. The new characters being Thrawn, of course, because he's on the cover, but also Count Dooku. But I think what's really cool here is if you get the exclusive edition from Target, not only do you get an exclusive figure inside, like the way it's made, but the casing is exclusive to Target as well. So if you don't get the exclusive casing, it looks like Thrawn is kind of like looking at a hollow table, and he has kind of the light shining on him from the table.
And
But
they've done special Target exclusive sleeves on these games before, but
mhm,
this one in particular I think is extra special.
why is it extra special?
Well, for one, it's plastic. It's not just a cheap cardboard sleeve. But for two, is it looks holographic. Like it just has a shine to it.
I mean, I could see holographic. For me, what was more exciting is that the sleeve brings the hollow table to life, because the sleeve has a couple of like planets and stuff on it, so you can actually see what Thrawn is, quote unquote, planning on the cover of this game. So I think that's super cool. The other villainous that came out at the exact same time was the Disney version with Davy Jones and what's the crab's name?
I think it's Tamatoa.
All right. That one did not have a clear sleeve. That one, it has a cardboard sleeve. There is an exclusive one, of course, because it's from Target, but not nearly as exciting as the Thrawn one. Definitely looking forward to checking it out. It's just that we've been preoccupied with other board games that have come out. There's been a lot of cool ones that have come out recently, and the one that we tried was the Dungeons and Dragons version of Horrified, which has got its own cool twist to it. It's a lot of fun. But Villainous is definitely on our radar to check out. Which character are you excited to try out?
Ooh, you said it was Thrawn, and who was the other one again?
Dooku.
Oh, Dooku. I gotta give it to my boy Dooku, man. I feel like he's just more creepy to me. There's something about the way they portrayed Thrawn in the Ahsoka show that just kind of ruined him for me. He doesn't seem as menacing.
I would agree with that, quite honestly. Um, when we heard that Thrawn was going to be brought to live action, and you and I, we both watched Rebels before we saw Ahsoka, so we saw the kind of things that he's capable of doing. But I would agree that there was something about him in the Ahsoka show where he just didn't seem to be the animated version, almost if something was lost within his character, which is odd because it's the same writers and it's the same actor. So I don't know what happened along the way.
And it's not just the dad bod because it's something more than that. It's like with I think it's more with the writing and the dialogue and like the actual portrayal of the character. So don't be thinking that it's just because he's got a dad bod because that's not the only thing that's different.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't even notice that. I mean, technically his character is older, so that's what he would look like in comparison to the Clone Wars show. So, but I do remember some people complaining about that when the show came out, which is honestly one of the dumbest things to complain about. Okay, so video game news. I actually saw this, I think, yesterday, and because all this Comic-Con stuff is going on, and also uh, the Nintendo Switch 2 came out recently, and part of the news that came out with the Nintendo Switch 2 is that Star Wars Outlaws was going to come to Switch 2 in September. Well, when Ubisoft was talking about that release, one of the people that was attached to the project also mentioned that there is an Outlaws 2 that is canceled. It didn't get very far in the process of being made, but it was definitely like on their list of ideas of where to go next with, potentially using that Star Wars license. And unfortunately, there wasn't enough love for Star Wars Outlaws for them to decide to make, a second game. I think they had a decent foundation with what they did. I do think I think there was some very unnecessary backlash from the fandom in terms of Kay Vess, because I actually really liked her character. Um, but at the same time, the mechanics of the gameplay, the repetitive missions, it just it felt super bland. And then, they tried to do updates to try to fix all that stuff to make it more approachable and more fun, but by the time that came out, I was already gone, right? I haven't even played the DLC yet, and I plan to cover that on the channel, and it just has not been on my priority list. I think more or less just because I remember when I played the game, there were things that irritated me, and even though those DLCs sound interesting because there's one with Lando and there's one with Hondo, it just hasn't pulled me back in yet.
I haven't played the game, so I don't feel like I can have much of an opinion, but what I will say is it Fallen Order that has Cal Kestis?
Yep.
I feel like in watching you play those two games, Outlaws and Fallen Order, there's just a way more fun vibe with Fallen Order. Like I feel like that was a game that you played and played and played and played and played, whereas Outlaws it was let me get through this spot. Let me get through this spot. And it wasn't as fun of a playthrough for what I was. And I don't necessarily mean like as fun to watch because I don't remember watching it super close. I just mean more or less the general vibe of you playing those games. I feel like you didn't have as much fun with Outlaws as you did with Fallen Order.
I definitely did not. That's for sure. I will say though, there were some cool moments in Outlaws. I know the game's been out long enough for me to say this, but the way they handled Darth Vader was very cool. Like I wanted to see more of that, but unfortunately, I don't think we will be. The scene where I think it was the guy in charge of like the bad guy in charge was reporting to Vader, and they were in a room, with glass windows, and Vader's way of being like, "You better shape up and um, get back on track or whatever." He shatters the glass and has like thousands of shards of glass ready to just cut into the guy because they're surrounding him, and I'm just like, that is Darth Vader, and I think they did some really cool things to show how menacing some of these characters can be, but just between their vision of what the game was supposed to be and the execution of the mechanics, it just didn't work out. And not only for me, but definitely for a whole bunch of other people. But that's the only video game news I got for you. I do have quite a bit in the other section, so we'll go ahead and take a look at a handful of other things. Going along with San Diego Comic-Con, because again, the convention was happening and there was a whole bunch of just random news that came out of it. George Lucas made his very first appearance at San Diego Comic-Con. I had no idea that he had never gone to one of these. That thought that was quite interesting. It makes me wonder why this was his first time. Do you remember why he was there?
I honestly don't. I just remember it being a major buzz moment that he was there just in general.
So George Lucas was at San Diego Comic-Con so he could promote his new museum that he's having built. He is having one
Oh.
built in LA, and I believe it's like Lucas Museum, something, something, something.
I
It's
heard about some different pieces. Forgive me, I don't remember exactly what they were, but I heard about some different pieces that he was going to put in said museum, but it didn't click to me that it was a new museum. I thought they were things going to Skywalker Ranch or something, which to me didn't really make sense because it's not exactly open to the public. So having a new museum makes a lot more sense.
yeah. Yeah, he's building a brand new place in LA. And I know the concept art. I haven't seen what this looks like in person, let alone pictures, but I saw in the concept art that it's supposed to represent like Padme's starship with the way it looks on the outside. So we'll see if that ends up being what the final product is. One of the things that I know is supposed to be there is Luke's land speeder for when they filmed the original A New Hope. But they're definitely going to have Star Wars concept art, props, and memorabilia throughout. There's going to be tons and tons of things to see. I think I also read somewhere that there's going to be a Marvel section at the museum, but I guess we'll have to wait and see if that ends up being the case.
Do you think it was announced at a Comic-Con versus Star Wars Celebration because he's sold off Star Wars?
Oh, hands down. If Disney doesn't have, their toes in it, then I don't see why he would want to wait around for them. Especially if he has some sort of regrets or sadness about how it's been handled, I can definitely see why he would want to do his own thing and not have to deal with them. Uh, Hasbro announced a new HasLab project. If you don't know what a HasLab project is, it's basically Kickstarter, but for toys. And they're for expensive toys, and I mean expensive. The latest project is the Republic gunship from Attack of the Clones, so the big gunship that the clones drive. Um, this crowdfunding event will go until September, so it won't last very long, and it will cost $449.99. That sounds like a lot of money, but I will tell you that this gunship is supposed to be 28 inches long. So that's over 2 feet long for this, big freaking toy. There's also some figures, I think. So I've never done a HasLab, but I think they also have a thing like Kickstarter where if it hits certain milestones with um, funds being raised and they unlock other perks. I think there's a handful of figures that, if they hit certain milestones, you'll get a figure with the gunship. And they're all from Attack of the Clones. I think they're Jedi from the battle in the arena. Like I said, I've never done one of these. I know in the past they've done quite a few of the projects. I don't see myself hopping on anytime soon because that's very expensive. But I think it's very cool. It's kind of like, how Lego does their adult Legos and you spend a fortune on it. I think this is kind of their version of it.
Makes a lot of sense. And for something of that size, I could definitely see it being expensive.
Are you going to be first in line for a $450 Republic gunship?
Oh, man. I don't think so. No.
Sarah's like, no, not me, and definitely not you. Yeah,
Maybe if it had if it was like a ride-on toy with a weight capacity where an adult could ride on it, I could drive it around, that would be pretty cool.
that'd be pretty wild, but it'd probably be 10, 20 times the price if it was like that, especially if an adult could ride it.
Uh,
I just want a scooter that looks like a speeder. Be a speeder bike.
I don't think that's too much to ask.
No. There is something kind of in the toy realm that we did pre-order. Sarah, what is coming in the mail very, very soon?
Are you referring to my new Lego set?
Yes.
I am super excited for this. They made a new Lego set of Wicket. It's very much like the I don't know, 1 foot tall or 1.5 foot tall, um, like Yoda, and they've got a Grogu one, and I think there's a Chewbacca one. It's in that kind of realm in terms of, size and what you're looking at. It's not a minifigure, of course. But it's of Wicket, which is super cool. Ewoks are my favorite if you're new here and did not know that. If you've been around, I'm sure you've known by now that I love my Ewoks, especially Wicket. So I'm very excited to be able to build that.
Some details about it, like specifics, is that the Lego set will be over 1,000 pieces. So it will be a little bit of time to build it. And it retails at 129.99. If you're like us and we got it from Target using the Target Red card, you can get 5% off. So you can get a little bit, off the top. But I think it'll be a very exciting set, and I look forward to it. Unless Sarah decides to build it on her own. I mean, that all to their own.
I don't know. I'll have to see if you've been nice to me that day, if you deserve to be a part of the build.
Eh. Going along the lines of Lego, Walmart will have a new combo Lego set, and it's really weird. Walmart gets like these big box sets for Lego where it's like a s- three different sets from the past that maybe didn't sell super well individually, so they just throw it all together in one big box and then sell it as a group. Walmart's new combo pack will be centered around the Clone Wars and the Mandalorian, which is kind of a weird combo if you ask me. There's one set that is the Clone Wars. It's kind of like a little battle scene. And then the other two are, I believe, Mandalorian themed. Um, if you were to buy the sets individually, it would cost over $62. But if you buy them as the combo pack, it's about 45 bucks. So that's not too bad. Um, of course, if you think $45, three sets, then that's pretty small sets. They're not like the big gigantic ones that they're throwing all together. I do think it'd be more fun though if it was all themed, like if it was all centered around the Clone Wars or all centered around Mando. It would just make more sense.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Okay. One last thing that came out of Comic-Con is that there were some books that were announced. We always talk about the new books that come out for Star Wars. One of them that really caught my attention was that there is a new comic series called Tales from the Nightlands, and this is supposed to be a horror-based Star Wars story. It's supposed to be like Star Wars' version of the Boogeyman, where there's a character that is trying to possess other people and then try to make them do things, to their bidding. And so it's pretty interesting. And that comic will drop on September 5. It is a comic book series. The first issue of the comics for Clone Force 99, we talked about this a while back, but it's actually finally getting a release date for December. You can check that out. There's going to be uh, I would say the main retail version of it, and then there's going to be a couple of variant covers. So if you're big into collecting comics, you're going to want to be able to find out where those variants are at. Another one that grabbed my attention just from the cover alone, there's going to be a new issue coming out in the Legacy of Vader series. That's the series that basically follows Kylo Ren as he's trying to become like more in tune with his grandfather and his family history. And the reason why it grabbed my attention is because the cover shows Kylo I think basically sitting in that meditation chamber that Darth Vader had in episode 5. If it's not his meditation chamber, it looks very, very similar. So I thought that was cool. And then the last one that I thought was really interesting, there was a lot more that they talked about, but these are the ones that I thought were the coolest. Um, an interesting one, especially coming off of the news that we have about Outlaws 2 being canceled, is that there is a prequel novel coming out to Star Wars Outlaws that focuses on a couple of those characters. And that book is supposed to be coming out February 23rd. So we got a little bit of time left for that one. But I do, like I said, I find it kind of interesting that they're still going to be within that realm with books. But as far as a sequel to the game itself, it looks like that is dead on arrival. We have one more news story for you, and Sarah, I think you got that one covered.
Well, let me just say before we move on to that, in relation to the books, so often, whenever I ask you a question about what's going to happen next with various Star Wars stories, your answer is always to read the books, and it drives me crazy. But at the same time, I think that like horror comic book that you mentioned, that actually sounds pretty cool. That one might be one that we might have to. I'm not much of a comic book reader. Not that I don't like it, just I've never gotten super into it, and that might be one that we might have to start reading. I'm just saying.
Yeah, check it out on the old digital library.
I'm more of a paper kind of person, but yeah. The piece of news that I have for you is in relation to Disney World, and specifically to Hollywood Studios in Disney World. They are getting rid of Star Wars Launch Bay. This is something that honestly I thought they got rid of a long time ago with the start of COVID. Don't remember. I didn't realize that like it had come back or reopened when the parks reopened. I thought it's been gone this whole time. And we've been to the parks since then and did not visit this area. But
It's because it's a
if
dead
you're not
area.
familiar, Star Wars Launch Bay is an area that you can do meet and greets with Darth Vader, BB-8, and Chewbacca. And then I believe there's like a small, I don't want to call it a museum, but in a way it's kind of like a museum, but it's super, super small. Like, I mean, it's included in your park admission. It's not like a separate thing that you have to pay to go see, but it's pretty small. But anyway, they're closing down that Star Wars Launch Bay area. It is an area that is separate from Galaxy's Edge. So just another reason why it makes sense to kind of close it down and maybe move whatever over to Galaxy's Edge so it's more of a focused Star Wars area. If you're interested in visiting before they close that down, the it will be closing. The last day to visit is September 24, 2025. So September 24 of this year is the last day you're going to be able to visit Star Wars Launch Bay. If you're wanting to meet those characters, you can still meet Chewbacca over in Galaxy's Edge occasionally, but at least for right now, there is no plan to bring Darth Vader as a meet and greet or BB-8 over there. So those two characters might be kind of going away.
I could see Darth Vader, popping up maybe over by Star Tours, when he comes out of the little Jedi training thing. Um, BB-8's a little bit harder because I think that's, on a stand with a bunch of electronics. And so BB-8 would be a harder one for them to um, transport and, set up over by uh, Galaxy's Edge. But I don't know, because Darth Vader also doesn't fit the timeline that Batu represents, because it's representative of the sequel trilogy. So I don't know. That's kind of a hard one to think about because, if I think about, oh, I'm gonna go to Star Wars Land at Disney, I want to meet the original trilogy characters. Well, now you're gonna be out of luck if they start to dwindle those out.
Yeah. But on that same token, though, there's only so many characters they can have over there, and as the universe keeps expanding, people are going to want to see the new and exciting ones too.
Yeah.
Not that the legacy characters aren't exciting, because I mean, to me they are, but
I will say too, because we've gone to Launch Bay. We went there, I think, one time, and then all of our trips after that, we've never gone back. And that's just simply because it's, in our opinion, it's very much a one and done because there isn't much to do there. And if I'm at Disney World, I'd much rather, go on rides or go shopping. There's not enough there to really pull us back in every single time. So it is what it is.
yep. So you might be asking what's going there or what are they doing with that area? One thing to note is the Disney Junior little show that they have right there or dance is also going to be going away. And they're replacing with something else. We're not quite sure what's going to be replacing it, but the rumor is because Disney California Adventure brought a new Disney Junior Mickey Mouse Clubhouse live. The rumor is that that's what's going to be coming to Hollywood studios, although it's not been officially announced yet. And they're gonna kind of transform that whole area. The Little Mermaid show will remain, so don't think that that's going away. But they're gonna transform that whole area to be more like a Walt Disney Studios lot, with the classic Sorcerer Mickey hat. Now, I'm not saying it's gonna be like the original park entrance hat in terms of size, but the concept art shows that as being one of the building entrances having that Sorcerer Mickey hat over the entrance to the building.
Hmm. And did they say what's going to be in it? Like, I know you said the name of what's going to be it, but did they say what it's going to feature?
The the particular article that I'm looking at right now does not say, but I feel like I've seen a different article somewhere else that there was going to be like a drawing studio or like a drawing class type thing that you could go do, at least as one of the activities. I don't know that that's really going to be enough to take up the whole building, or what could be taking up the rest of the building. I'm not sure yet.
If it's anything like the drawing class thing that they have at Animal Kingdom, I know that takes up quite a bit of space. If you haven't been to, like, I think it's called Rafiki's Lookout or whatever it is, that's what I'm referring to. You have to take a little um, train ride over there to actually see it. So if you never get on the train to go out there, then you wouldn't know what I'm talking about. One of these days, I think it'd be fun to do that drawing class. It's just you only have so much time in a day over at Disney, and you have to really weigh your options on what you want to do.
That just means we gotta move to be right there so we can go all the time.
Yeah, just have an annual pass and go every single day. Maybe when we retire, we can, be bloggers and go out there all the time. All right. Well, that is the Star Wars news that we have for the month of July. If you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. If there is a story that came out that we didn't cover that you think is worthwhile, drop it in the comments. Drop a like if you liked the video. And then, as always, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.